Meditation often uncovers a perplexing paradox. Even when thoughts fade into silence, there remains a persistent sense of self. But what exactly is this sense of self? Is it an unshakable truth or merely an illusion conjured by the mind? The mind acts as a skilled architect, formulating a self-image from memories, beliefs, and conditioned patterns. It behaves like an unseen puppeteer, crafting an internal dialogue that feels personal and intimate. Yet, a crucial question disrupts this illusion. To whom is the mind speaking? At first glance, the answer appears clear. Surely the voice within our head is addressing us. However, upon closer observation, a disquieting realization surfaces. There is no solid entity behind the stage, only thoughts responding to one another. The mind assumes both roles, functioning as the speaker and the listener, the storyteller and the audience. This self-referential loop lies at the core of the whole, a human experience, fueling our anxieties, self-doubts, and existential crises while trapping us in an identity narrative that we seldom investigate. But what transpires when we dare to look beyond this script? What if the self we cling to is not the ultimate reality, but rather a fleeting construct or mirage created by our own minds? This marks the beginning of a profound journey into the essence of self, the deceptive tricks played by the mind, and the invaluable liberation that arises from recognizing the truth. The illusion of self is poised to be challenged. Will you question it? Will you see through the facade? You have navigated your entire life with an enduring sense of self, an identity that feels solid, genuine, and permanent. However, have you ever paused to examine what this sense of self actually is? The mind, through continuous flow of thoughts, weaves a narrative of identity, expertly shaping it using memories, emotions, and societal conditioning. Yet, upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent that this identity is more akin to a shifting mirage than a tangible truth. What you perceive as yourself today may differ significantly from who you believed yourself to be a decade ago. If your thoughts, emotions, and roles are in constant flux, then what remains stable beneath this ever-changing mental landscape? There exists a deeper awareness that observes it all. Thoughts rise and fall, emotions surge and recede, memories surface, and yet something watches without judgment. This silent witness is unbound by personal history or fleeting emotions. It does not engage in the dramas of the mind. It simply observes. Thus, a question arises. If you are aware of your thoughts, how can you be the thoughts themselves? If you can notice your emotions, are you genuinely defined by them? Carl Jung's concept of individuation sheds light on this existential quandary. Individuation is the process of integrating all aspects of the psyche, the conscious and the unconscious, the real and the constructed, to arrive at a self that is whole and authentic. However, most individuals never attain this state as they remain ensnared within the mind's distorted perception of selfhood, a false self molded by societal expectations and psychological defense mechanisms. This false self serves a purpose. It aids navigation through the world, facilitates interactions with others, and maintains a semblance of stability. Yet mistaking it for your true identity can lead to profound internal conflict as you suppress elements that do not align with the narrative prescribed to you. The stark reality is that the self is not a fixed entity. It is an ongoing psychological process, a collection of ever-changing ideas, roles, and self-perception. The mind perpetually reshapes its image of you, adapting to various environments. Today, you may perceive yourself as confident, tomorrow as insecure. The mind effortlessly oscillates between these identities, yet something within you remains unaffected by these fluctuations. This something is the deeper self, the part of you that exists beyond thoughts, beyond roles, and beyond the fluidity of self-perception. The moment you cease identifying with your thoughts and instead recognize yourself as the awareness behind them, a profound transformation occurs. You will no longer feel trapped by the mind's incessant chatter, its fears, or its desire for validation. You begin to see that the self is merely a narrative, one you can observe rather than be enslaved by. When you penetrate the illusion of the false self, further questions arise naturally. If you are not the mind, then to whom is the mind speaking? You may believe your thoughts belong to you, that they constitute a coherent dialogue, an internal conversation among different parts of yourself. Yet, take a moment to step back. If thoughts arise spontaneously, seemingly from nowhere, and if your responses to those thoughts also appear without provocation, who is truly conversing? The mind fabricates one voice and then another reply, crafting an ongoing exchange that feels deeply personal. It deceives you into thinking there is an internal self that listens, decides, and interacts with this mental chatter. But is that genuinely the case, or is the mind simply engaging in a dialogue with itself, preserving the illusion of a distinct self? The mind cleverly sustains this illusion. A thought surfaces. I need to do better. Then another arises in response. Yes, but I have tried before and failed. The exchange continues back and forth, creating an illusion of an internal dialogue. Yet, pause and ask yourself, who is indeed hearing these thoughts? If you sit in silence and observe, you will notice thoughts simply arise and fade away with no clear listener in sight. The mind generates both the question and the answer, fostering the illusion of an internal participant. The moment you recognize this trick, something remarkable happens. The entire structure of this imagined dialogue begins to collapse. One of the most deceptive components of this illusion is the concept of I. This thought provides the mind with a reference point, a label for identity. I am thinking, I feel sad, I want something different. This I seems so innate and fundamental that it rarely invites scrutiny. Yet, what is this I? Is it a fixed and unchanging entity, or merely another thought? Just one more mental formation, indistinguishable from any other? The mind's greatest deception is to lead you to mistake this label for your true self. Yet, the moment you investigate this I and attempt to define it, it vanishes like mist. The process of self-inquiry is subtle yet profound. When you ask, who is listening to the mind, an eerie silence ensues. There is no listener, only awareness. The mind frequently resists this realization, often responding with more thoughts in an attempt to pull you back into identification. Yet the truth remains simple. The voice in your head is speaking to no one. It is self-perpetuating noise, playing out in a loop. The issue lies not in the emergence of thoughts, but in the mistaken belief that an actual self is engaging with them. You may have noticed that your thoughts are transient, fleeting like clouds passing across an endless sky. They come, they go, and they change shape without your control. However, beneath those thoughts lies something unshaken by the turbulent storm of mental activity. This is awareness, the constant, unchanging presence that observes everything. Unlike thoughts, which fluctuate and shift, awareness remains still, untouched by the rapid flow of your internal dialogue. It serves as the backdrop to all experiences, the unchanging ground beneath the shifting sands of thought. As you grow increasingly aware of this, the distinction between what is fleeting and what is permanent becomes clearer. The key is to shift your attention from the ceaseless flow of thought to the simple act of witnessing. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them arise, live briefly, and fade away. This practice does not involve forcing the mind to cease thinking. Rather, it is about recognizing that engagement with every thought is unnecessary. By stepping back and observing, you acknowledge that thoughts resemble waves on the surface of an ocean, while you are the vast, still ocean itself. In this space of observation, a profound realization dawns. The ego, the I you have always identified with, is a mere illusion. It is not a solid, fixed entity, but rather a pattern of thoughts and beliefs mistakenly perceived as your true self. The ego relies on the illusion of separation, the belief that you are distinct from the world around you. Yet, when you cease identifying with the ephemeral thoughts that sustain this separation, the ego begins to dissolve. In the absence of the continuous reinforcement of thought, the I you once considered permanent begins to evaporate, revealing the pure awareness of being. There exists a freedom that accompanies this realization. When you identify yourself as pure awareness, beyond the layers of thought and ego, a profound peace settles within. You no longer feel imprisoned by the constant fluctuations of your mind. Instead, you can observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without being swept away by them. This embodies the understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the timeless awareness in which all experiences arise. In this awareness, there is nothing to fix, nothing to change, and nothing to strive for, only the present, pure and untainted by the past or future. However, this understanding is not intended to exist as a mere concept. It is a realization to be integrated into your daily life. The practice of observing thoughts without attachment can occur at any moment. You do not need to devote hours to meditation. You can be conversing, walking down the street, or engaged in work while still observing the thoughts that arise. By consistently redirecting your focus to the witness, you detach from the illusion of the I and rest in the awareness of your true nature. With time, this practice will transform your experience of life, revealing an inner peace that was always present, waiting to be recognized. This recognition of pure awareness marks merely the beginning of your journey into deeper self-discovery. As you continue to observe, you will gradually uncover more subtle layers of the mind's illusions, unveiling truths that can genuinely shift your experience in unimaginable ways. Let us explore this further, delving deeper into how this awareness interacts with the world surrounding you.